Story of the birth of Christ. You know, when you read it, it's a magnificent scene between the shepherds, Mary and Joseph, the angels. But when you take a step back, there wasn't a lot going on there. You know, in all the ways God could have chose to send his son, he could have sent it in the triumphant way of shouts and trumpets and told the whole world what was happening. But in this characteristic of who God is, he came in a silent night. There was something about the intimacy of just being there with those shepherds and them getting to hear what was about to come. And then going there with Mary and Joseph and having that intimate setting in the chaos of the world. If you read the story, you understand what was going on. They were being called to a census. The worlds were being changed upside down. They were being called from wherever they lived to have to go back and be counted like sheep. And yet in the midst of that chaos, God silently sent a Savior. And they wouldn't know it at that point or fully understand what was going to come. They didn't know the cross was coming. They didn't know that 3 days later he was going to be resurrected. But just in that midst of that moment, in that silent night, they were told a Savior was born. And you see, I like that part of it because that's the same way God comes with us. You see, you could be in the chaos of your life. You could be going through financial problems, marital problems, whatever the problem may be. And God doesn't come in the way we always want him to come in. Some of us want him to come in with trumpets and riding a horse and rescue us. And yet sometimes he just comes in silently. And he holds you there in the midst of your despair, your sadness, your hurt, your pain. And yet in the midst of that, there's an intimacy to it. There's something about being there in the presence of God just right there. And that night, that's exactly what happened. And if you listen to that song, it talks about sleeping in heavenly peace. As you read through the gospel and you see, even in that night, when the angel showed up, he said, "Peace be with you, don't be afraid." And that's the characteristic of God, that in the midst of our chaos, he always comes with peace. And for some of you, may be having a tough time because it's Christmas and you're missing a loved one. You may be having a tough time because it's not the way you pictured your Christmas would be. For some of you, you're thinking about the stuff you've done. And yet God just comes in the midst of it, in a place of intimacy. And he says, "Peace be with you." He's not coming to condemn you. He's not coming to count all the wrong. He just comes in love and mercy and grace. And he says, "Peace be with you." And there's something about that intimacy of God in the way he came in and even in the way he exited. It was a thing of peace and mercy. As Brian said that prayer with you, I don't know where you're at in your walk with Christ. Right now, you may feel like your life's in the midst of chaos. It hasn't turned out the way you wanted it to. It seems like every step you take is another problem, another issue, another situation. But the one thing you can rely on is that God's peace is there in the midst of the storm. See, his peace is not based on our circumstances, it's based on who he is. That he is in control. That he's love, he's mercy. That he calms the storms. And so right now, just the same way they did that night, I want us to do that. I want to take us back to that moment. And it's not about shouts and victories. It's about just that place of intimacy with God. Being in that place where he's calling us back, because that's exactly what it was. It was God coming through his son, calling humanity back into this relationship of intimacy with them. Back to that time in the garden when he was there with Adam and Eve and there was just an intimacy. It wasn't nothing special, it was just every evening him walking with them and being in this place of intimacy. And that's the same message he tells us. Just be silent, be still, and know who I am. Know that I'm your Savior. Know that I love you. Know that my grace and mercy is with you. And so right there where you're at, I just want you to stand up with us. If you're outside of your vehicle, if you're sitting here, just stand up. If you're in your vehicle, just take a moment and come out for a moment. And let's just worship God. Let's worship him for who he is. Don't worry about tomorrow's problem. Don't worry about what may come next, but just thank him for being who he is. the one who will never leave us or forsake us, the one who loves us unconditionally. And so just right there where you're at, just worship him. Worship him in the midst of the storm. Allow him to be your Savior.